all of my life, I have been exploring how to create things. And what I've learned, and then for teaching for nearly 30 years, what I've learned to do, because the value of the teaching to me was, in order to help somebody else learn how to do what I've been learning to do all my life, I had to break it down, and so I can tell them about it. And that's why I developed this process, and that's why I wrote the book. In order to help somebody else learn to do what they can do inherently if they know how the mechanics work. Nobody bothered to tell them, right? Anybody tell you how to create anything? No. Did they explain to you that your imagination was an extremely valuable origin of creativity? That if you trust your imagination, which is inherent in children, if you trust your imagination, it will immediately stimulate with very strong images an emotional response, which will then feed the images and create even stronger images and create even need for even more powerful images, which will then will bring more powerful emotional information to make those images. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. Did anybody ever? No. What do they tell us as children? I write about this in the book. Sit down, shut up. You know, mind your own business. When I was growing up, there was a famous thing that people used to say, children should be seen and not heard. I mean, it's ridiculous how they call it civilizing us. Well, what they've done is they've taken what they call education and an approach to civilizing a young genius, which all kids are, and drummed the potential for creativity out of us. All great artistic creation comes from deep in the human soul. It comes from the inner self. It comes from the soul or the spirit or the higher self, whatever you want to call it. And that we have to learn how to let go of conscious thought. We have to learn how to be in the present moment and to listen to our inner selves. And once we start listening, really listening, and being aware of what's coming up from our inner selves, it will give us all of the information that we need to create the kind of art I want to put out there. So the basic principle is to learn how to use the left side of the brain or the thinking self in concert and in balance with the right side of the brain or the intuitive self, and to put the two things together so that they're functioning properly. But ultimately, the inspiration, the information is coming from deep in the unconscious. The whole purpose of my methodology, the whole reason for my methodology was to get us beyond the knowing that everybody was teaching about, you know, acting and drama and whatever, which limits us to the use of the conscious mind. The thought process becomes the most dominant factor in creativity, and we completely exclude the larger truths that are coming from the deeper self. We are imposing on an awesome mystery knowing. We are imposing on the awesome mystery of creation knowledge. And we cling to knowledge like a life raft to keep us from finding out that we don't know anything. Discovering how we take what some people call mind stuff and turning it into matter. We take intangible energy, intangible spiritual, emotional, intellectual, cosmic energy, and we somehow clothe it in a molecular structure that we call form or matter. That is the most interesting process that has come into my life since I was a little kid. The power of the human being, more than most animals or the creatures on at least our planet, we have the capacity to use that energy on a higher level, to create in a higher way. That's what we call art. That's what we call real artful creation. And it's a higher, to me, it's a higher calling than just being an actor or being a writer or being a director or being a shoe salesman or whatever. I mean, whatever you do to make a living and to prosper as a professional, you can do it on a higher level if you just open yourself to what is available to you. The reason there aren't better actors being turned out by the people who train actors in this country is that the people who created what we call the method, which has been the most important methodology since 1930, at least, starting with Lee Strasberg, who used the word knowing and control, who is an intellectual. He was all about knowing. So the very basis of the training procedures that we've imposed on the young people that we've been trying to make great artists, or or maybe not so great, but at least to get a job and become rich and famous, what we've imposed on them comes from Strasberg and the other people who created this approach to creating a performance that was basically designed to suppress the mystery of creativity and the mystery of human behavior. Because if we think we understand human behavior based on what they write in a book, we're crazy.